Chapter 38. Maybe I should have insisted that I wasn't lying. Hundreds of times. I have rethought the decision, the choice of that instant. An instant that stretched out between Kayla and me until it seemed to fill the childhood we had not had together. An instant that marked the borderline between the non-existent childhood and the adulthood that we would indeed share. If I had continued to lie, it might have made a difference to what happened. Or it might not have. I am still only human. I don't know. What I did was this. I nodded once and kept my eyes on hers. Then I said, Abel Samuels died of Huntington's disease. You know that, right? Yes. Kayla's face was still expressionless. I reached out with my finger over Kayla's shoulder. I pointed at the screen. CAG. Repeats 59. That's the marker for HD, I said, on chromosome 4. This is Ava genetic profile, Kayla said. I know it's my initials on the file, but it's the first file. So you put her DNA code in here first? Another chance to lie. I didn't take it. I said nothing, trying to find the right words. And then, 3 seconds, an eternity later, I heard her indrawn breath and realized I didn't have to search for those words any longer. I hadn't thought there could be a worse moment than the one in which I had recognized the code. Oh, Kayla said. I see. I discovered that I had moved my hands onto her shoulders. I felt them rise and fall, rise and fall. I looked at the screen, and I felt that line of code imprint itself on my brain. When I close my eyes to sleep at night, even when I am holding Viv, I see the code. I will see it all my life. Kayla spoke again. The only sign of what she just learned was in the higher than normal timbre of her voice. Eli, would you please hand me the rabbit? I did. I stood there for several minutes, watching the quarter of my sister's face that I could. Her lashes flickered and fell over her eyes. Her shoulders hunched as she cradled the rabbit. CAG, repeat 59. You aren't alone, Kayla, I said. You're not going to be alone with this. I'm your brother, okay? I'm your brother. You have to know that. I need you to know that. My responsibility, because I am my father's son, because I choose, like he did, not to walk away, because you are more than your genes, because you are human, because you are worth it. She didn't answer, and after a while, without having made a conscious decision to do so, I got to work. I didn't care anymore about leaving the room undisturbed. I dismantled both computers, moving their hard drives, wrapping them in towels from the apartment, and packing them in the cardboard box, using more towels for protective padding. I found a pile of diskettes and CDs in one of the cabinets, and noticed that several of the CDs were backups, labels with the names of the files we'd just been viewing, and placed those in the box as well. As I finished packing the boxes, I finally felt Kayla watching me again. She said, We'll find someone to give it all to. She was holding Fufu with both arms, huddling over her. They're evidence, they're hard drives, better than copies, because someone, somewhere can stop them. This whole place will be of interest to the police, right? It can't be legal, what he's done. There's got to be a law. He's been so secretive, it must be illegal. Probably, but I wondered if the police would be capable of understanding this, of sorting it all out. FBI, maybe? But I also felt as if it didn't really matter right now. What mattered was getting Kayla out of there. What mattered was getting to my father. Come on, I said. I started to lead Kayla back out. But there, again, without planning, I took us into the lab instead. I looked at the walk-in freezer. I reached out and gave the door a tug, just to test it. Yes, it was locked. Locked the old-fashioned way, requiring a key. Then I knew what I was about to do. I was going to destroy everything I could before we left. Too bad it was evidence. Too bad if it had helped convict Dr. White of whatever laws he might have broken. And too bad if here was the key to unimaginable scientific advances. I was going to destroy it anyway. Stand back, I said tensely to Kayla. No, farther away, over by the wall. She did as I ordered. I put my left hand flat on the door for balance, put my right hand on the door handle, and jerked the door towards me sharply, twisting it against its hinges. It sheeted nearly off. I turned, carrying the door, and leaned it against the wall. How did you know you could do that? Kayla asked. I shrugged. I believed the truth was that I could have done it even if I were someone else. Someone ordinary. Larry, say, or even Viv. Viv could have done it too, if she had felt what I felt. Was this how superheroes, Batman, Spidey, Swampy felt? Was this their complete competence fueled by rage, and beneath the rage, despair? At that moment, I understood about adulthood. It is not about being in charge of your own life, not about being in control, it's about being helpless and hating it. No number of scientists and dreamers like Quincy Wyatt, no amount of DNA tinkering would ever change the final human helplessness. But they thought they would, and because of that, They cannot be stopped. Should they be? I didn't know. I only felt I could do only what was before me to do right now. I did not know if I was doing right or wrong, killing or preserving, loving or hating. I did not care. Come watch, I said to Caleb. We entered the freezer, and I checked through its contents, which were all carefully labeled, as I imagined they would be. A meticulous man where it mattered, was Quincy Wyatt. I gathered up all the packages, the ones that belonged to my mother and the ones that didn't. Kayla knew without asking what I was doing. With the freezer open, won't they all be destroyed anyway? As they defrost? This will be faster, I said. I took the sample to the sink and ran hot water over them. Then, I unplugged and emptied the refrigerators. Then, simply because I wanted to, I went through the room, smashing everything in my path. I felt very calm. Kayla stood in the doorway, held Fufu and watched. Finally, I picked up the cardboard box containing the computer data. Now, I said, we go home to my dad. He'll know who we ought to give this data to. We know who ought to tell about this place. We'll tell him about the other children. He'll know what to do next. He'll advise us. We're in this together from now on, Kayla, okay? Kayla nodded. She seemed dazed, and I wasn't sure how much she had taken in or what I just said. The sooner I got her home to my dad, I thought, the better. There was something terrifying about the blankness of her face, about the careful way she was moving, as if she might shatter. In silence, we walked together and down the corridor, and I pressed the button for the elevator. After a minute, it opened smoothly as we looked into it at Dr. Wyatt.